In a world permeated with barbecue websites under the control of tyrannical administrators, there was one man, a one-man army. He broke all the rules. He allowed his members to speak out, give their opinions, and make the website what it is today. Get ready for Greg Rempe and the Barbecue Central Show.
Live from Cleveland, Ohio, it's the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show. A very good Tuesday evening to you, wherever you may be. I, of course, am smack dab right here in the middle of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast, if you didn't know. Happy to have you aboard here for another great show. This is the Barbecue Central Show right here on LA Talk Radio. Thank you for joining me. We have a very big show lined up. One guest scheduled, slated, and confirmed. That will take place in about 9 minutes from now. We also have the fourth segment, Free For All, coming back in fabulous fine fashion. PD River Swamp Sauce is going to be sponsoring that tonight. So you can get a 2-pack of PD River Swamp Sauce just by listening. All you have to do is call in at the right time, and you could be the proud recipient of not one, but 2 bottles of PD River Swamp Sauce. You can check them out at swampsauce.com. That's Tim Patton. Very successful competition cook just this past weekend, by the way, so you know the stuff not only tastes good in the store, in your home, and in the backyard, but it's pleasing to judges' palates everywhere across the country. So, PD River Swamp Sauce doing the fourth segment free-for-all. All right, so before we get into the interview later on here, next segment, and most likely the third segment as well, I wanted to discuss a item that has been making rounds on the internet. This, of course, has nothing, well, not of course, but this has nothing to do currently with Kansas City Barbecue Society and the things that we have been covering here over the last few weeks in regards to people stepping down and what's being done inside the boardroom and what isn't being done inside the boardroom and all that good stuff. This has to do with a magazine, Barbecue World magazine, to be more specific, which, of course, I'm saying of course like you know. I am a paid subscriber. I bought a 1-year subscription. This was back probably in March or April, as you would recall, if you're a faithful Centralite and you listen to each and every show either live here on LA Talk Radio from 9 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday, or you check out the show in podcast fashion, which a lot of people do, thousands of people do every month, by the way. You would know that I actually had the founder of the magazine, Terry Welch, on to kind of do a little pre-roll-up, little hype, and I would imagine they got a number of subscribers through that listening, or through the people listening there. And it's so, you know, for a little backstory for people that don't know exactly what's going on here, the premiere issue had been rolled out. Barbecue World magazine made a stop over at the Team of the Year, end of year KCBS stuff there, turn of the year in 2009, and were very anxious about rolling out their episode, or their first premiere edition magazine. And certainly it showed right up on time to all people that had paid. And this was going to be, I believe, every other month. So there was going to be, my math is failing me, but maybe three issues or 4 issues during the course of the year, once a quarter, I believe it was. So should have been getting the second edition. Well, that time has come and gone. Now people are getting a little nervous, and they're wondering what's going on. And that second issue, or that technical first issue, sans the premiere episode issue, has not made its way to anybody's hands. So people were wondering what's going on, and I decided to shoot a email over to Terry Welch. And basically, I wrote him saying, hey, a lot of people going on the internet forums at this point wondering what's going on. People are worried, blah, blah, blah. So I'm getting a letter back from Dana Slegger, and she is the editor of Barbecue World magazine. Her response to me was, that she was assisting Terry with these emails. Obviously, they're fielding a number of them. And she said that basically, here's what it is. And she wanted me to help to get the word out and that they're not going anywhere. They felt it was in their best interest at this point, the best direction for Barbecue World magazine to continue promoting the premiere issue for the rest of the year, which puts our next issue hitting stands in January. That would be year 010. Focus for the remainder of the year will be building distribution locations, targeting more advertisers for the publication, committed to offering the best publication, blah, blah, blah. Been difficult to get the word out because not all subscribers gave email addresses to. They did say, and I believe I did get that email saying that they were going to be holding off for any new episodes. Well, not episodes, but any new publications for this year. So I told them, I said, look, obviously you're going to be dealing with some people here that think that there's going to be a lot of skepticism. You get one issue in your hands. There's nothing else left. And you're hoping pretty much for the rest of the remainder of the calendar year that in 2010 January, you're going to be getting your hands on your second issue. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty kind of ridiculous to be waiting that long. And I wrote her back in an email stating as much, that people were technically going to be, or at least the majority of people that are voicing anything are going to be skeptical until they get that next issue in their hands. She did write back saying that the response that she had received from the majority of the emailers since July 1st have been very positive, and that they didn't know about any skepticism until they were online looking at some of the other barbecue forums where people were basically voicing their concern that perhaps things weren't as rosy. And now, of course, it snowballs into, are we getting swindled? And this, it was $29, so it's not like it was, this isn't a Ponzi scheme by any stretch of the imagination. But, I imagine you have a large number of subscribers, and there was a good sum of money. It just seems to me like there was some pretty not well-laid plans. Something wasn't thought of initially in order to really roll this magazine. There was a lot of hype before. They were showing up everywhere. They were giving out this premiere edition pretty much everywhere you went that was barbecue or grilling related. And now we have no more new issues until next January. So I think something was missed. There was probably some bad business decision or bad foresight that they didn't see, or like my question to Terry when I had him on the interview was, isn't publication kind of going the way of the dinosaur? Certainly, there's a segment of people that want to have an issue in their hands. I don't know, something. I'm not saying that they're running away with everybody's money or anything like that, but it just seems like there perhaps was some poor business planning up front. So that's all I can say about that right now, because that's all the editor is telling me. I will continue to chase Terry perhaps for a future episode. That way concerned people can call in and get that all straightened out. So we're going to come back. We'll have the creator of the FE line of cookers and the guy pushing his new pellet-fired cooker, Ed Morin. He'll be on the Barbecue Central Show next. I'm your host, Greg Rempe, 216-220-0966, bbqcentralradio@gmail.com. If you want to jump in, 4-segment free-for-all, PD River Swamp Sauce. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Barbecue is already here at thebarbecueguru.com. From the amazing guru that monitors and controls the temperatures of any charcoal, wood, or electric pit to the Caldera Tallboy knockdown smoker. Yes, it breaks down and stores flat, yet it's still a robust, sturdy, portable cooker and smokehouse. It also serves as an efficient temperature-controlled convection oven using wood or charcoal. The Tallboy is designed to fit all catering pans and can be used as a warming oven. You can cook in any style you choose. Make ribs, chicken, jerky, vegetables, smoked cheese, whatever you want. own. Take it to KCBS competitions and unload it from the trunk of your car. TheBarbecueGuru.com is where you'll find the Caldera 3-Bay Caterer. It's stainless steel and uses charcoal or sterno for chafing purposes. And it doubles as a 3-bay sink or wash station with hot water and knocks down in seconds with no tools required for transportation and storage. The future of barbecue is here at TheBarbecueGuru.com. That's www.thebbqguru.com or call 1-800-288-GURU.
Forget going from site to site to get all your barbecue and grilling supplies and make your first and final stop at fredsmusicandbarbecue.com. In the market for a new barbecue pit, we have all the big name brands like Big Green Egg and more. As a matter of fact, Fred's is staffed by eggheads and carries all the parts and accessories for the Big Green Egg. More of a pellet head, you say? Fred's is the pellet grill superstore with grills in stock from Traeger, Green Mountain, and Country Smokers from Louisiana Grills. Fred also carries smokers from Cook Shack, Bradley, and Weber as well as a full lineup of charcoal grills. And once you're outfitted with your new smoker or grill, you'll find absolutely everything you need to make your barbecue or grilling experience a success. Fred is also the creator and distributor of Tasty Licks barbecue products, including their great line of rubs, spices, and sauces. You gotta try them. You can also get your hands on a full lineup of marinades, accessories, lump charcoal, wood chips, pellets, chunks, and even the great grilling tools from Stephen Reichland of Barbecue U fame. Check Fred out on the web at fredsmusicandbbq.com or check out their fully stocked showroom in beautiful Shillington, PA. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show on LA Talk Radio.
Hey, welcome back, Barbecue Central Show, here on your Tuesday. This is LA Talk Radio. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. This portion of the show brought to you by D-Dog's Barbecue Rub. All natural products, ingredients, making great barbecue rubs available to each and everyone. Visit them on the web at ddogsbbq.com. That's ddogsbbq.com. Having a little technical issues here on the LA Talk Radio side of things. I'm sure they'll get that ironed out here shortly. Meanwhile, I am joined here by my guest, Ed Morin, friend of the show. Eddie, welcome back. How are you tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining me again tonight on the show. Lots of stuff to get to tonight. Unfortunately, we're experiencing some technical difficulties over in L.A. This is nothing that actually hampers our conversation tonight because I'm recording for future posterity in podcast fashion, but I'm sure they'll get all that stuff ironed out there in Los Angeles. That's why I live in Cleveland. Too many headaches going on in Los Angeles.
Maybe the airwaves was a little thick today.
Airwaves, smog, all that great stuff. So, Ed, wanted to have you back on tonight because it was probably earlier in the year we had talked about the new pellet-fired grill that you have been working on for some time now. There had been, sightings of it here and there. Some people were using it in competitions or had been able to toy around with it. It was obviously making the rounds on a lot of the internet forums. But now we have it ready for sale and distribution, all that good stuff. So why don't you go ahead and take us back around the cooker and kind of how you came about it and what it's supposed to do, all the ins and outs of it.
Well, first of all, the website where you can almost touch and feel it. It's pelletcooker.com, and it's actually just a little over 3 years now since the original version of the thing was built.
Has it been 3 years almost?
Yep, almost three. Well, actually, a little over 3 years.
Oh, wow!
And it's it's been quite an ordeal to get it to market, and then little things would come up, and for instance, I waited 6 months on their powder coat line. A company called Danson's, they also manufacture the Country Smoker and Louisiana Grill. They're manufacturing this product for me in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I'm really glad to do business with these guys because they are in pellet-fired equipment. They build stoves and all, and these guys understand burning pellets. So that was one of the things I was looking for in a manufacturer. Due to some business reasons, I couldn't have Cook Shack do this product at that time. So I had to go look elsewhere, and that was the criteria of what I was looking at. I took a lot of the features that are in the smoker ovens and brought it into this grill. And it's not just a grill, it's a smoker, grill, barbecue. And I went with the name pellet cooker because everybody on the cook-off circuit calls these things pellet cookers, and they just do more. So it's extremely simple. It's got an on-off switch, and then it's got a up and down arrow on the controller that sets the temperature. And the controller goes from 170 to 605 degree increments. So what's unique about this cooker is you can actually cook over the fire. Compared to every other pellet-fired piece of equipment out there, nothing has the open access to cooking over the fire that this unit has. And also it's double wall and insulated too. It's 3/4 of an inch thick wall, and this thing really is fun to cook on. It heats up extremely fast. It'll go to about 400 degrees in 8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
When you turn it on. So when you want to go do dinner, you don't have to screw around about it. I really feel like this thing has bridged the gap of being very competitive with the gas market, and it's pretty low use on fuel too compared to other pellet grills out there on the marketplace.
All right, so let me take a step back for 1 second. You had mentioned how this is the only cooker pellet driven that you're able to actually cook over the burner or the flame. Now I know with take Traeger, for instance, they're burning in a pot kind of offset, and it's, you're probably, I'm guessing, you probably can't get any higher than maybe 400 degrees if you have that thing jacked all the way on a Traeger, but now you're almost doubling the amount of temperature output. How are you able to, or how did you come up with being able to cook over the heat like that?
Well, searing and in that high temperature cooking, it's always been lacking, and that's why I like cooking over coals still. And I'll tell you, I was looking real hard at the green eggs and the Primos, and for it, when you're talking about a solid fuel cooker on the market, that thing, those pits are really extremely nice.
Sure.
You're getting your hands dirty getting them fired up. It takes a little time to get them fired up, and then when you get them hot, it's hard to cool them down because of all that ceramic. But you're cooking over real solid fuel,
right?
And you can get to some extremely high temperatures. And I said, the pellet driven stuff is missing this. And so I'm reading temperature on the cooker on the indirect side, but when it's pumping 600 on the indirect side, you're anywhere from 720 to 800 degrees right on that cooking rack over the fire. So, you're not there long if you're going to cook something at that. And I very, very, very rarely ever cook at that temperature over the fire. Most of the time I've got the unit set at about 500, and I'm over the fire probably in the 600 range when I'm finishing my steaks off. If I want to do some lower temperature searing, like for instance when I'm cooking pork loins, I'll set the unit at about 450 and go over about 4 or 5 minutes aside on my pork loin. Then I'll put it on the indirect side and turn it down to 300 and finish it in about an hour. So it just opened up the capabilities of what to do. And actually, it's really cool. You actually get to see the fire in the thing. You get to see it fire up. Right. In most all pellet-fired stuff, it's all covered up, So it's pretty cool to get to see the fire. Now, what ended up happening, I found out by having this little small, and it's 10 inches wide by 18 inches front to back. It's not a huge area, but you're never working a bunch of product there very long anyway. So what the advantage I found out with it is when it goes to the indirect area, I trapped the heat, and I brought my vent stack down about 4 or 5 inches below that cooking grate over there, and it ended up giving it a top-down cooking action on the indirect side. And it really only happens that way when you're in the upper grilling temperatures from 350 on up to 600 degrees. You'll see the product get dark on top and still ashy color on the other side when you're in those upper temperatures. Now, when you're doing regular traditional barbecue, that's between 200 and like 3.25, and you don't really need to turn your product at all. It's working like a traditional smoker oven, like my regular commercial pits do. But it really gave it an added feature in the grilling temperatures, which is really cool. And you ought to see the chicken skin sizzle. I mean, and then being able to exactly see the color you're wanting to get for a competition cook, and then just turn it over. So it's a lot of fun to cook on, Greg. Ed
Marn, this is a maker of the pellet. Is it the pellet cooker? Is that what we call it? Pellet cooker?
Pellet cooker. That's exactly right.
Pelletcooker.com is the website you can go to. And almost really, and as you said, I've been on the website a number of times. You can almost kind of put your hands on. You can almost put your hands on it in a virtual sense. You get a really good in-depth of, where how everything's set up and how everything works. A couple questions before we take our first break and move on to some other stuff if possible, but it sounds like we could be here for a little bit longer. On the direct side, I mean, is there something that is diffusing any fat or juices that are rendering out of the meat onto the fire pit, or is it all free game at that point?
I've got a angle diverter that sits over the fire pot, and it's got holes in it, so it allows some of the heat to come through it, and some of it's got to go around it. And when your fat drips down on it, it's going to burn or go past it. And then there's a drip tray underneath that catches the ash and the grease at the same time. So, I mean, it works extremely well. I mean, because you're wanting fire on that side anyway.
Right.
And you never have it, where it's got a bonfire going over there. I mean, I've had 5 steaks on that thing at a time over there, and I've cooked some really fatty hamburgers over there, frozen from a frozen state. And, got a friend there. So I mean, it's a matter of fact, we'll get down to the road, but I've taken this technology I've learned on this grill, and we're added into a new commercial product.
So, again, pelletcooker.com is the website, and we are talking about the pellet cooker grill. This is Ed Morin. Ed, what, as far as price tags, what are we looking at? Are there more than 1 or 2 different models to choose from?
Well, it's only one style of unit and one size of unit, but it comes in either a black powder coat finish, or it comes 100% 304 stainless steel.
And what are the price points on each?
The powder coat's $18.95 and the stainless is $25.95.
All right, so obviously the next question that I want to ask is, for what you're getting, the technology into it, I mean, is there a potential sticker shock with this unit, or do people going to the website or people that have seen it or at least heard about it know what they're getting into in regards to the $18.95 or the $25.95 price tag?
Yeah, I mean, I never did dream of this being a first-time pellet grill buyer's unit. Everybody who's had a pellet-fired appliance cooker of some sorts is understanding all the features I put into this. This unit weighs right around 230 pounds. It's extremely heavy because of all the metal that's in it with double wall in it like we did. So, I mean, there's a lot of value there for the money. And, to be right honest with you, the margins are not that high in this product at all. We've really tried to keep the price down on it to get it out here to the marketplace. And I feel like it's probably the best bang for the buck in a pellet grill on the market today. I mean, for instance, the controllers, the same company that makes my controllers for my Cook Shack products is Antunes Controls. And, I mean, they build most of the equipment that are in the McDonald's that you see around the world. And you're getting the same electronic components that's going into their commercial equipment on this piece of equipment here. So, I mean, we didn't skimp anywhere on this that I can think of. as a manufacturer of something, you kind of wonder, gosh, did I overdo it? But I just couldn't stand myself if I didn't try to put something out there that had all the features and was the best possible thing that I think I could do.
Well, two things probably. If you get the cooker, you're getting, and there's only one cooker that I can think of right off the top of my head, that being a Big Green Egg or any of these Kamado-style cookers that can do the low and slow traditional barbecue, within those temperature range, and then you can fly open the hatch in the bottom. Or the top and the bottom hatch and get to 750, 800 degrees. So you're able to do that with your cooker. And then second, and probably more importantly, and this has been told to me by a number of other people who know you, you're not putting something out for sale, ready to be shipped, unless it is up to Fast Eddie standards. And those are very high, and obviously almost 3.5, 4 years from conception and trying to make first runs to now actually getting it out. That really says something. Yeah,
I this thing's been tested to death, and the controls and all, and I just couldn't put it out there unless I felt like it was the best possible thing and completely ready to go.
That's right. So, Ed, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Get some people set up here. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the FE cooker if you want to, and then we'll get into some more competition, general barbecue stuff. You're listening to Fast Eddie Morin here on the Barbecue Central Show. I'm your host, Greg Rempe. If you want to call in, 216-220-0966. You can also email bbqcentralradio@gmail.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Forget going from site to site to get all your barbecue and grilling supplies and make your first and final stop at fredsmusicandbarbecue.com. In the market for a new barbecue pit, we have all the big name brands like Big Green Egg and more. As a matter of fact, Fred's is staffed by eggheads and carries all the parts and accessories for the Big Green Egg. More of a pellet head, you say? Fred's is the pellet grill superstore with grills in stock from Traeger, Green Mountain, and Country Smokers from Louisiana Grills. Fred also carries smokers from Cook Shack, Bradley, and Weber as well as a full lineup of charcoal grills. And once you're outfitted with your new smoker or grill, you'll find absolutely everything you need to make your barbecue or grilling experience a success. Fred is also the creator and distributor of Tasty Licks barbecue products, including their great line of rubs, spices, and sauces. You gotta try them. You can also get your hands on a full lineup of marinades, accessories, lump charcoal, wood chips, pellets, chunks, and even the great grilling tools from Stephen Reichland of Barbecue U fame. Check Fred out on the web at fredsmusicandbbq.com or check out their fully stocked showroom in beautiful Shillington, PA.
Barbecue has never been easier with the Barbecue Guru. The Barbecue Guru is a temperature control and monitor for all pits, charcoal, wood, electric, your pit. It easily attaches to any smoker or pit and gives you simple, trouble-free control of your temperatures so you can make championship quality barbecue every time and all the time. And it's location-free. Take it anywhere. This amazing breakthrough in barbecue technology is a microprocessor controlled draft system that uses temperature monitors and a small fan to keep your temperatures constant. The stainless steel Guru Pit Minder gives you a choice of controls from 90 to 370 degrees. So cold smoking, pepper drying, making cheese or jerky, or fabulous briskets and ribs is nothing short of effortless. The Procom 4 lets you monitor your pit from up to 600 feet away. And there's more. Check out the full line of products and accessories for the future of barbecue with new items on the way. Visit thebarbecueguru.com. That's www.thebbqguru.com or call 1-800-288.
Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome back, Barbecue Central Show, LA Talk Radio. I am your host, Greg Rempe. This portion of the show brought to you by Smoky Mountain Smokers, makers of some great offset pits, chicken cookers. Also a great line of rubs and sauces. Check them out on the web, SeriousBBQs.com. SeriousBBQs, as in BBQS.com. Leading online retailer of Meadow Creek barbecue equipment. All right, we get back to our conversation with Ed Morin, talking about the new pellet cooker he's got out, the grill slash smoker, I guess, because you can get those temperatures. Obviously, you had made also very famous, especially in competition circuits right now, the FE cooker that you partner up with Cook Shack. So obviously, that's still doing very well in competitions. Probably a high percentage of teams that are on the competition circuit, whatever sanctioning body they tally up with, winning a large portion of those with their FE cookers. So obviously things still going well. Have there been any adjustments made or any tweaks, modifications?
No, everything on that line of equipment's been going pretty good. The butt-to-butt was one again on an FE. The chest-to-chest brisket was one on an FE this last weekend. I mean, they're still winning a big percentage of cook-offs, and we've pretty well settled in. We haven't made any changes probably on that product for about the last 2 years. What we have done, though, as a matter of fact, sitting here with me while I'm doing your show is a fellow that got me started on the pellet-fired equipment, Bob Robinson. We call him Barbecue Bob. And he's going with me down to Cook Shack, and I'm going to show him our new product, and he's looking about possibly repping the new char broiler that we've designed for Cook Shack. That's a pellet-fired open char broiler for the commercial restaurant world.
So this is going to take place of either solid wood, which I've actually seen some restaurants use, but more of them use the big gas broilers.
Right. I mean, they're all looking for more flavor. They're really wanting to get into that wood-fired market, but the big charcoal units and the wood-fired units have a lot of problem where you have to have a very good broil master cooking on those things because they burn down and they start to cool down, and the guy's got to try to keep the fire stoked up on it. It's quite an art to run a wood-fired broiler, where compared to this pellet-fired broiler works almost exactly like the gas units. If the guy can cook on a gas one, he can cook on this thing. And the how even heat we have it, we got 3 different temperature settings on the thing. It's just it's really, really, really nice product. I really look for this to almost double Cook Shack's business is what I think this product's going to do.
This will be going into the commercial market, commercial broiler.
Yeah, broilers, all for the restaurant industry.
All right. Cool. So we'll be on the lookout for that. All right, so let's switch gears for a second here. And again, if you want to look at Eddie's new pellet cooker coming out, it's pelletcooker.com is the website that'll give you all the information that you need to know about that. When, as you would recall, you were 1/4 of the panel that did the Brisket Roundtable, which pretty much revolutionized barbecue podcasts, if I do say so myself. So thank you for that. But you had mentioned, and I get probably 1 or 2 emails a week about this because people inevitably will stumble over the shows, and the first thing that people seem to gravitate to are those roundtable shows, Brisket being one of the most popular ones. And they say, Eddie said something about, it was weird that he used to just get on a plane and bring his own meat, which is, probably something you can't do anymore. But secondarily, he said he had his own refrigerator. They kept at a certain temperature, but then he did this wet aging thing. And what is that all about, and how does it help? So I figured, why not ask you that? You're the guy that mentioned it in the first place, and that way this is out for public information on podcasts after this.
Okay, yeah, wet aging is something that I really got into, and I really feel like it's a big part of making that brisket really, really good. And all wet aging is storing the cryovac brisket from the date it was packed till the date you use it. And I'm storing it in a refrigerator that doesn't get open and closed a bunch. I'm trying to keep the temperature 36, 38 degrees consistent. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for a certain time frame in there, and I like to cook briskets around 40 to 42 days of age on them. And what you do is I buy them by the case, or if you go to like a Sam's Club or Costco or something like that, don't just pick up the brisket that's out there in the case. Hit the button and get the guy to come out and say, would you do me a favor and go get me, tell him you're looking for a nice, big, thick, whole brisket, but tell him you're wanting to know what the date on the box is. and get one that's out of that box so you'll know exactly what the packing date was, and then take it home. And if you don't have a special refrigerator, put it in your regular refrigerator down low and in the back, okay? And then put a little piece of tape or a note on there and what date that thing has and what date you want to take it out of there and cook it. And you're going to really see a big difference. And it'll have a little bit of smell to it when you open it up. But you won't, it's just going to have a little beefy flavored smell to it. And you'll see a little more moisture in the bag, too, when you get it out also. You know, how watery kind of it's not blood, but it's kind of a red water that's in the bag.
Right.
And what is happening in that process, in that time frame, is the beef has its own natural enzymes that are help breaking it down. And what it's doing is it's adding flavor, and it's also help tendering it up, too. And it's going to do those two things for you. And if you cook a brisket that's well aged, you're going to see it cook a little bit different than one that's just straight, that's just been packaged, a few days ago. And you're going to see how it's going to tender up at a different time. It's going to cook a little bit quicker, not a lot. But you'll see a little bit of it, and but the flavor is going to be unbelievable in it, and it's a flavor that you just can't put in by injections and things like that. Now I'm using injections now because you're having to do so much more these days in competition barbecue that's over the top compared to what we used to have to do. So I would. Highly recommend, and of course I'm talking about whole, but you can do flats like this too, guys. The whole big deal is really knowing that packing date.
So how did you come up with when you have the packing date, and then how many days to wait in between to get that best flavor? Is that just trial and error, and over time you've come up with X amount of days that seem to work best for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a process, and I'll tell you who helped work with me a lot was the Bicklemeyer Meats here in Kansas City, and they actually have their own cattle too. I mean, we did some dry age work off of their Angus breeder of cattle, and we did. They got a room where they hang sides and all, and I did, tried a combination of dry aging and wet aging. I just tried straight dry aging up to 28 days or 21 days. We tried 14 days. I just cooked all kinds of brisket, and absolutely could not find anything to beat, number one, large briskets, and number two, that age. Now, the aging process they say 50 days you can go up to before you have to use it or freeze it. If you hold it colder, you can go beyond the 50 days. But to me, I think you start losing too much moisture in the product when you go beyond 40, 42 days. From what I've been noticing, I mean, you start cooking it around 50, or you start dropping the temp down. I mean, I've cooked more briskets than the law should allow, to be right honest with you. And it was just trial and error, and messing with it. And it was really nice to have those guys to work with me. I was cooking just tons and tons of contests back in the day, and in between contests, and at the fire station, and you just cook, and you wear it out, basically, is what you try to do. And it's just a cumulation of all that practice and trials and error is how I came up with that 40 to 42 days.
Now, you had mentioned that you do inject. I know there was a point when you didn't, or you used to inject, just the briskets and not the butts, but now you got into injecting both. And that seemed to be quite a rage here over the last probably 5, 6, 7 years. Everybody injecting at least one, if not both. Have you seen any type of trend where people are starting to get away from injections? I have talked to a couple of, bigger names that might do one or the other, or they don't inject at all. Are they still more in the minority at this point when it comes to competition and prepping meat?
Oh, I think they are. I totally believe they're in the minority. When you're injecting product, you're going to get more consistency, is what you're going to get. You're going to get deeper flavors. I'm not big into, a lot of fruit juices and different type of liquids with the injection. One thing I'm not big on is not putting something in the judge's mouth where he's going to sit there and kind of wonder what that is. The injections, like the beef injections, it's just it's a beef flavoring. Of course, it's phosphates too, which also helps it retain moisture. So, you're getting twofold. You're getting two things going for you when you're injecting there, and it just really, it's like putting horsepower in a race engine is what it is. I mean, it's amazing how it really just juices it up. So I find it probably these guys that aren't doing it, I really feel like they're probably in the minority. And if you look at those couple of categories, especially pork and brisket, they're probably not going to be, up in the top 4 or 5 year in, overall without doing it, in my opinion.
Is brisket harder to cook than chicken? I mean, obviously, you have a lot more ability to practice chicken just because it's cheap and available everywhere. A lot of people don't want to go out and spend, $40 or $50 probably on a whole packer in hopes that they're not going to screw it up. But it seems that where teams lack is the inconsistency on the chicken, which might cost them an overall or a reserve. Is that a fair assessment to make?
I think that there's such a huge variety in flavors in chicken. Okay, briskets. I think that the different flavors that you're going to get in brisket and what it's going to be judged to are it's a pretty narrow area compared to like chicken. I think that there's just that range is huge there from sweet to heat to just all kinds of different flavors there in different brines and add it to. It's just amazing to me. And I think that's why it's a lot tougher in the chicken category to see somebody rise to the top there. But brisket, I think it's just a whole lot narrower in brisket and pork in the flavor and how to get it right.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take one more break. We're actually not going to be under a time restriction tonight because LA is obviously not going to get their act together here. So let's take one more break. We'll come back and we can just pretty much finish out however we want to. Okay. We have a handful of people that caught my personal private stream, so it's kind of like Barbecue Central after hours. We'll go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more competition barbecue, and we'll talk about some KCBS stew as well. We're chatting with Ed Morin. PelletCooker.com is the website to go check his brand new pellet grill and smoker out. PelletCooker.com. You're listening to the Barbecue Central show here on LA Talk Radio. Stand by. I'll be right back.
Barbecue is already here at thebarbecueguru.com. From the amazing guru that monitors and controls the temperatures of any charcoal, wood, or electric pit to the Caldera Tallboy knockdown smoker. Yes, it breaks down and stores flat, yet it's still a robust, sturdy, portable cooker and smokehouse. It also serves as an efficient temperature-controlled convection oven using wood or charcoal. The Tallboy is designed to fit all catering pans and can be used as a warming oven. You can cook in any style you choose, like ribs, chicken, jerky, vegetables, smoked cheese, whatever you want. Take it to KCBS competitions and unload it from the trunk of your car. TheBarbecueGuru.com is where you'll find the Caldera 3-Bay Caterer. It's stainless steel and uses charcoal or sterno for chafing purposes. And it doubles as a 3-bay sink or wash station with hot water and knocks down in seconds with no tools required for transportation and storage. The future of barbecue is here at TheBarbecueGuru.com. That's www.thebbqguru.com or call 1-800-288-GURU.
Forget going from site to site to get all your barbecue and grilling supplies and make your first and final stop at fredsmusicandbarbecue.com. In the market for a new barbecue pit, we have all the big name brands like Big Green Egg and more. As a matter of fact, Fred's is staffed by eggheads and carries all the parts and accessories for the Big Green Egg. More of a pellet head, you say? Fred's is the pellet grill superstore with grills in stock from Traeger, Green Mountain, and Country Smokers from Louisiana Grills. Fred also carries smokers from Cook Shack, Bradley, and Weber as well as a full lineup of charcoal grills. And once you're outfitted with your new smoker or grill, you'll find absolutely everything you need to make your barbecue or grilling experience a success. Fred is also the creator and distributor of Tasty Licks barbecue products, including their great line of rubs, spices, and sauces. You gotta try them. You can also get your hands on a full lineup of marinades, accessories, lump charcoal, wood chips, pellets, chunks, and even the great grilling tools from Stephen Reichland of Barbecue U fame. Check Fred out on the web at fredsmusicandbbq.com or check out their fully stocked showroom in beautiful Shillington, PA. The phone lines are open on the Barbecue Central Show. Call 216-220-0966 to get on the air. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back to the Barbecue Central Show. I'm your host, Greg Rempe. This portion of the show brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, makers of the CyberQ, the DigiQ2, the ProCom 4 wireless, and now the NanoQ. Look, if you're looking for automatic pit temperature control devices that don't come on the FE cooker or the pellet cooker, then you want to look at the Barbecue Guru. Two ways to find them: on the web at thebbqguru.com, or you can also call them on their dime, 800-288-GURU. That's the Barbecue Guru. Rumor has it we may or may not be back up on LA Talk Radio. No worries here at this point. We are up and loaded with a handful of friends here. Barbecue Central After Hours. It's a party here. And we're chatting with friend of the show, Ed Morin. Pelletcooker.com is the website you want to visit to check out his new grill. And they're actually, him and a friend are headed down to, that's Ponca City, where Cook Shack is, right? Ponca City, Oklahoma.
Yeah, the barbecue capital of the world, Ponca City, Oklahoma.
There you go. So, and they're going to be talking about their new charbroiler setup for commercial application that's pellet fired as well. Eddie, into the pellets, no doubt about it. So let's go ahead and kind of segue into some KCBS stuff that's been kind of a happy, wild few 2, 3, 4 weeks, I guess. Starting with Rod Gray's resignation from board of directors. Obviously, you're no stranger to KCBS. You've been, I believe you said you were on the board for 6 years or so?
Yep, 6 years I was on there from, 92 to 98, something like that. I was on the board, and then I was elected VP in 98. I was sitting one breath away from the presidency.
One breath away.
in 1998. But it's, from an outsider at the moment looking in, and this is just my opinion, and from, the past of board KCBS, I think that what's going on is a lot of people want it to be more than what the forefathers wanted KCBS to be. It's called the Kansas City Barbecue Society for a reason. And, it was to have fun and go out and cook competition barbecue. And it was a group of people to, basically score it and kind of run that side of it. And I just feel like that the way that the whole thing is set up, it's not meant to do what I think a lot of people want it to do. And, it's which is getting away from the focus of the organization. I mean, barbecue's growing leaps and bounds, even in these bad times, and which is amazing to me. You don't hear these guys, cutting back on going to events much, and you don't hear of the not too many events. You'll see a few of the weak ones going away. But it's still amazing to me in these rough times of how far forward this thing keeps going. And if I just feel like that people trying to make it more than what it is, and it's just you're seeing a lot of infighting. And with back in the day, the internet wasn't much, it wasn't even around when I was on the board, so you didn't have everybody who spent $35 poking their nose in trying to tell you how to run the business. They vote on you, they get to read about you in the bullshit, and they meet you at the contest. And there was a few of us that were traveling back in the day and got to get around. But now with the electronic media the way it is, it's you can't hardly breathe sideways without somebody finding out what's going on.
All right, so obviously this was a society founded, by Gary and Carolyn Wells. They wanted to have some fun with their friends. From what I'm gathering, you didn't obviously think that they had a grand scheme where it was going to get anywhere near as big as it has here over the last 20-plus years. And I don't think it was ever even thought to get anywhere close to this. And, I just think they ought to get back to the basics of what it was, designed for. I mean, for instance, I think it was 95 or 96. I think it was 95 that we had a convention and had a little trade show and classes and things like that. They haven't done it since. And I mean, they're one of the things that they talk about in their, they're about teaching about doing barbecue. Well, what better way would it be to have a national convention of your own to go do it? I know there's the National Barbecue Association tries to have theirs and all that, but why don't they try to get their members together and they could do it when they do their once a year New Year's party, and that's when we did it that time too. And that was the first real event that people came in from out of town, and I was a chair of that thing and had like 26 booths there and had the local weather guy in, and it didn't make a lot of money. It was not a loser. It did make money, and it was the first time that they did a set down really nice dinner for the New Year's party. And I got hammered like hell over it, because they'd always done the potluck deal, okay? And a matter of fact, there was some pretty predominant people that's in the KCBS. Matter of fact, they wouldn't come for the dinner, but they came for the awards afterwards. And were upset that I did a dinner kind of thing for it. And then the next year they went back to the potluck. And that was the last time they ever did potluck, was that next time. Right.
After that, it went straight to the dinner deal. So, change is tough for anything, but I don't really feel like that. The forefathers really, they wanted it to be fun. They wanted it to be a group. They wanted to teach barbecue. They wanted to and score and have barbecue competitions, and that's really all the forefathers of KCBS wanted it to be.
All right, so let's remove that from the equation. There's nothing we can do about that now. It was founded on, whatever platform it was. It has since grown into what it is now. I mean, it's hardly just the Kansas City Barbecue Society. I mean, we're going from, encompassing all coasts. They go up into Canada. I mean, it's truly almost an international sanctioning body right now as it sits. So to have the board of directors, and granted, in talking with Rod Gray a few weeks ago, there are people from other portions of the country which kind of are represented on the board. But for the majority of the existence of the sanctioning body, people from Kansas City were representing the majority of the country. People didn't have access to meetings, and now, as you said, people are wanting to be, at least in the last handful of weeks, are wanting to be able to participate either over phone or have some type of webcast because they want to see what's happening on the inside. I mean, there's 8,000 plus members of Kansas City Barbecue Society. How many of these paying people actually give a crap about what's going on in the BOD? What's the percentage of people that actually participate in any contest during the course of the year, let alone every weekend like some of these guys? I mean, where do these percentages fall out as far as membership is concerned?
Oh, I'd say it's probably, relatively small, like any organization. I mean, it's going to be a very fuse going to be what runs the whole, or what really gets totally involved in it. But I think what's changed now is you're seeing guys actually trying to make a living out there off of competition barbecue. Besides the winnings of it, they really want to see the major sponsors come along but here's where I think the tug really lies is, all they are is a sanctioning body with a scoring program and go and make sure it's fair and rules are followed. But people want them to actually, for some way, to be able to bring the money to the table and bring the sponsors to the table and those kinds of things. Well, that's always been left up to the local event, the person that puts the event on, and they're the ones that, they're the ones that's going to get the locals to come in. They're the ones that are going to get the areas for it to set up to have these events. They're the ones that are putting all the labor and their volunteers in to put the event on. So, I just feel like that there's, it's two different things here, and you need to really stand back and look at what do you do. If you're going to score barbecue competitions and make sure it's fair for teams to go to, and then say you sanction it through your scoring body, then great. But trying to make this with a 13-member board, try to make more out of it than what it is, I think is really what's turned this thing into a battle, and it's not what it was designed for. It does a very good job what it was set up and designed for, and if it stuck with that, I think the thing would just keep growing, and go on to being the thing that teaches and makes sure low and slow cooking it becomes a thing around the country. I think they need to really sit back and get their minds back where the founders were.
Do you think, I just had that a great follow-up question that has quickly left my brain when we were talking about what the KCBS was kind of set up to do. But, ultimately, do you think – does the KCBS need to, or have they in the past, say, look, here's what we do. This is all we're going to do, and if there's any misconception or if there's any determination on the members' part that they want us to see us do something other than what we have set forth here in these specific criteria, we're not going to do it. That's on you. Have they made those definitive statements in the past, or is that something that needs to be done if they haven't?
Probably, the members vote on the board members to go to the meetings, and they go to the meetings, and they have, strategic strategy of what the direction they want the organization to go, and I really feel like that their vision of where they want this thing to go compared to where the founders and the way the thing was set up is two different things, and it probably would be better if it was in the private sector and was not. It was a for-profit, and it was a smaller board, and it was you actually had somebody that gave the final decision, more like a business. And I don't feel like with the structure that it sets with today, we'll ever get to that point.
All right, so that kind of leads nicely into my last question. And that's this. You had mentioned here just a few minutes ago that there's probably a small, if not decent, handful of teams out there that are actually looking to try and make a living off of competition barbecue. They're at competitions every weekend, more or less, maybe minus 4. In between, if they're not competing, maybe they're doing some very large corporate gathering where they're catering, so they're making money that way as well. So the question, and I'd actually pose this to Mike Davis, not as, I guess, succinctly or in detail as I'm about to with you, but I could certainly do that with him when I have him back on the show. Do you think that there is a possibility of then a new, let's call it, for sake of argument, Major League Barbecue division, either of the KCBS or a completely different faction or organization altogether, where if there's a new board or whatever the hierarchy would be, they retain sponsors. There's a mandatory number of competitions that these people have to take part of. There maybe is 3 separate divisions, an Eastern, a Central, and a Western, and they have to compete in, again, a certain amount of competitions. Top 2 teams from each division go into a playoff, and then ultimately it boils down into some type of Super Bowl or Major League World Series type of barbecue cook-off, where these guys are doing just that. They're there to make money. They're there to compete and make money, and even the judges are paid and they're trained. So almost as much as you can take out of any bias, much like they try to do with any type of officiating in professional sports, is then put into barbecue. Do you see that happening at all, or is that completely out of whack?
I think that's what a lot of people would love to see or come down the pipe, but there has to be a purpose for somebody to put their money behind it, and who or what kind of group or what entity would it benefit? Okay, I mean, cooking barbecue is a lot like watching grass grow. Okay, I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of it's not too much action. We all love it. We love the food. It's all about the food. It's about tasting the food. And I think if you go back to the core ideas of teaching the people low and slow and preaching that, I think it'll expand that direction instead of coming back and trying to throw the Hail Mary is what I call what you're wanting.
Right. Okay.
I used to say it's like the little revival came to town. Okay. And it was always in the little towns all around, and it still is to this day. And I think the more that grows that away, then something big, or rightly so, will come down the pipe, and the group will find itself that will do that. Chris Lilly and John Marcus were about as close as it came, I think.
Right.
With the little television series, I think that was extremely as close as it ever got, and there's and guys have to find their own way in the world, with this barbecue thing, and I think one of the best that's done it's Ray Lampe.
Right.
Right. Ray he's a foodie, and he does a great job writing books, and he's quite the personality, and it's all about barbecue and teaching people barbecue, and the man's been able to move forward because he stuck to those ethics. So, it's kind of cool to see that. I went at it a different way, through the equipment and my passion with these pellet fired stuff, and being the metal bender that I am, and I still very, very, very passionate about barbecue, and but I really feel like like I was talking to Derek Riches out there in Nevada at the Reno show, cooking with pellets is 25 years old. What industry have you ever seen that's been 25 years old and nobody's still heard of it?
Exactly.
It's crazy, man, and people. And once they get a pellet-fired cooker, they may add some other stuff or things, but they don't get rid of them. They love to cook on them. So it still amazes me every day.
This is Ed Morin. Pelletcooker.com is the website to check out the new cooker. And, of course, is it CookShack.com or CookShack USA, or what's their website for the FE cookers?
Pretty simple, CookShack.com.
CookShack.com to check out there. Ed, appreciate you hanging over time with me and dealing through the technical issues, but this will all be back up podcast here in just a few short minutes, so everybody that missed the live airing will get the full entire podcast here. Certainly appreciate you sharing thoughts on the pellet cooker, the FE, and, of course, all the competition stuff we've been talking about here for the last 25 minutes or so. Again, pelletcooker.com, CookShack.com. This is Ed Morin. Appreciate the time, Ed, and let's do it again soon.
Absolutely, Greg. Thanks for calling. I always look forward to being with you.
All right. Appreciate it, Ed. Thanks.
Take care.
It's Ed Morin, by the way, if you need him. Well, we're certainly a little bit over time, 5 after 10. Hey, after hours, 5 after 10. Okay. All right. I would promote that you should stay tuned after me because at 10 o'clock Broad Topics would have started, but of course, they've already started 5 minutes ago.
Get that big stuff out of here.
So I will thank my guest, Ed Morin. Again, pelletcooker.com for his new grill/smoker. Cookshack.com for the FE line of cookers that has been dominating the competition circuit for some time now. And appreciate his thoughts on all things KCBS. If you missed the live airing, I apologize. We should be back and straightened out next week. Because next week we have the first edition, backyard edition, of the Barbecue Roundtable Pork Butt. So stay tuned for that. Dennis Cobb, faithful listener. Jack Waybor, competitive cooker and backyard enthusiast. And forum-member Div will be joining me for a backyard roundtable event on the pork butt, so stay tuned for that. Quick reminder about, well, I think I got everybody in, actually, now that we took that last commercial break, so we're good. I'll see you back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, this is your program host and proud U.S. American. Good night now. Proud U.S. American Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Forget going from site to site to get all your barbecue and grilling supplies and make your first and final stop at fredsmusicandbarbecue.com. In the market for a new barbecue pit, we have all the big name brands like Big Green Egg and more. As a matter of fact, Fred's is staffed by eggheads and carries all the parts and accessories for the Big Green Egg. More of a pellet head, you say? Fred's is the pellet grill superstore with grills in stock from Traeger, Green Mountain, and Country Smokers from Louisiana Grills. Fred also carries smokers from Cookshack, Bradley, and Weber as well as a full lineup of charcoal grills. And once you're outfitted with your new smoker or grill, you'll find absolutely everything you need to make your barbecue or grilling experience a success. Fred is also the creator and distributor of Tasty Licks barbecue products, including their great line of rubs, spices, and sauces. You gotta try them. You can also get your hands on a full lineup of marinades, accessories, lump charcoal, wood chips, pellets, chunks, and even the great grilling tools from Stephen Reichland of Barbecue U fame. Check Fred out on the web at fredsmusicandbbq.com or check out their fully stocked showroom in beautiful Shillington, PA.
Barbecue has never been easier with the Barbecue Guru. The Barbecue Guru is a temperature control and monitor for all pits, charcoal, wood, electric, your pit. It easily attaches to any smoker or pit and gives you simple, trouble-free control of your temperatures so you can make championship quality barbecue every time and all the time. And it's location-free. Take it anywhere. This amazing breakthrough in barbecue technology is a microprocessor-controlled draft system that uses temperature monitors and a small fan to keep your temperatures constant. The stainless steel Guru Pit Minder gives you a choice of controls from 90 to 370 degrees. So cold smoking, pepper drying, making cheese or jerky, or fabulous briskets and ribs is nothing short of effortless. The Procom 4 lets you monitor your pit from up to 600 feet away. And there's more. Check out the full line of products and accessories for the future of barbecue with new items on the way. Visit thebarbecueguru.com. That's www.thebbqguru.com. Or call 1-800-288-GURU.